Hi everyone, and welcome to our video series on the Formative Assessment Toolkit for Literacy. In this video, we'll be featuring the monitoring tool for reading development. This is one in a series of tools highlighted in the toolkit. My name is Stephanie McCulley, and I am the English Language Arts and Secondary Social Sciences Consultant for the Eastern Township School Board.
And my name is Kessie Walters. I am the consultant for the Artifacts for Maximizing Improvement project of the Ministry of Education of Quebec. And I'm on a loan of service from the Central Quebec School Board, where I was the English Language Arts and Social Sciences consultant. Thank you for joining us today.
So just a little bit about the history of the tool. Essie and I had worked together on a few different projects over the last couple of years, and we both noticed that teachers were wanting a formative assessment tool that would help them track a student's progress in reading. So something that could pull a lot of ideas together in one place and help teachers understand reading development. So we talked about working together on a project that could create that tool. And last year, that's what we did. And now we're happy to present it here for you today. We see this tool as being really useful for educators in lots of different roles. So homeroom teachers, resource teachers, teachers of special programs and WOTP, teachers that are new to teaching ELA, or teachers that are new to a grade level maybe. At both the elementary and the secondary levels. And we feel like it can be used by educators to support students with a wide variety of profiles, including students with special needs.
We thought about the types of questions that teachers ask us when designing the tool, and here are some of them. Teachers sometimes want to know, how can they efficiently determine where students are in their learning? Sometimes they ask us about how they can track students' learning quickly and simply. Sometimes they want to know appropriate next steps or ways to determine appropriate next steps for interventions for lessons. Teachers are asking, how can I better understand my students and how they develop as readers? They want to have a language that they can use to clearly communicate to students and to parents about students' strengths and needs in reading. And they're also looking for ways to better scaffold conversations that they're having with their colleagues about aligning expectations horizontally and vertically in their school around reading. So we developed this tool because we thought that it could be a resource to help answer some of those questions. We were also thinking about secondary teachers as we were developing the tool. We recognize that increasingly secondary teachers are experiencing students coming into their class that have gaps in their reading levels. And many of these teachers don't feel that they have the background knowledge and training to address the needs that are coming into their class. So we hope that this can be a tool that can help build knowledge for secondary teachers so that they can use the tool to help identify students' strengths and needs and then take action to support them.
So we see the monitoring tool for developing readers as a formative tool to support the teaching of reading. The tool is not designed to be used as a rubric, and so there's no grades or grade levels attributed, and you can see that we did that intentionally. Formative assessment is about tracking student progress over time. So you want to use a variety of different sources to gain knowledge about a student's progress in reading. And then hopefully this tool will help simplify and enrich decision-making for instructional moves. So because it allows you to say synthesize the knowledge you've gained from this variety of different sources and evidence to sort of better inform your decisions on next steps in reading instruction.
To tell you a bit about our thinking as we started to prepare the tool, we did a lot of reading to consult experts in the field. And one study that we consulted was the National Reading Panel study from 2000. They identified 5 important categories for reading development: phonemic awareness, phonics, reading fluency, vocabulary, and reading comprehension. So we wanted to make sure that as we designed the tool that we touched on those areas. we didn't use those categories as is. We did end up regrouping them. And so if you look at what the actual tool looks like, you'll see that we do have a variety of categories. The picture's too small, so you can't see it, but we didn't use the exact same categories as the National Reading Panel. We added in the category of concepts of print because we wanted to also think about early reading behaviors, and we grouped phonemic awareness, phonics, and vocabulary into a category that we called word decoding. To help our users better understand the tool, we also provided you with a third page where we've included additional definitions, background explanations on the thinking behind the tool, and also some references so that if you want to, you can do some further reading.
So we've just discovered how the tool is organized into the different skills in the development of reading. It's also organized into different levels of developmental proficiency. So the idea here is that a student progresses across the tool from left to right as they demonstrate more complex ability in a skill. So in early stages, students might not yet be displaying certain skills on the tool because other skills need to be developed first before certain skills can be acquired. So we've indicated those in pink. Some skills will be deepened and developed over time when reading ever more increasingly complex texts. So instead of developing indicators for those skills, we simply indicated in green where students are no longer acquiring new abilities, but enriching the ones that they've already acquired. So above here on the slide, you can see we've highlighted the emerging stage where we see several indicators listed in pink. And it's also worth noting that struggling readers will probably have problems in several different areas. So if they're struggling with phonemic awareness, they would probably indicate that they're struggling in phonics and word decoding. If they're struggling with fluency, you might also see them struggling in comprehension or vocabulary. A student, it's important to note that it's really normal and even expected that students have a somewhat uneven learning profile. So students will fall into different levels of development on the tool. And a tool like this actually demonstrates that no learner is going to fall exclusively within an average profile, but they all have individual strengths and needs that need to be addressed. As well, students don't follow a linear path when they're learning to read. So you might see, for example, in the category of text choices, a student moving back and forth between emerging and beginning as we're continuing to collect evidence. And when a student shows a behavior really consistently over time in lots of different contexts, then we can locate them in a certain level of development. It's important when you're using a tool like this to collect multiple pieces of evidence and information in different points in time.
So what does this tool look like in action? When we think about the cycle of instructional decisions that educators make, we feel that this tool can help inform our thinking about the different questions we ask ourselves. We could be asking ourselves, what do I expect my students to learn? How will I know they are learning? How will I respond when they don't learn? Or how will I respond if they already know it? And this tool, we think, can help us as we think about those different questions. For example, when thinking about how will I respond when they don't learn, a teacher might use the tool to reflect on the strengths and needs that they're seeing in their students, and then use the tool to identify next steps in learning so that they can align teaching strategies to support students in moving forward. If a student falls mainly in the emerging category for engagement, in one case, a teacher could then look to see how they could identify strategies and resources that could move them further along to a later category like beginning. The tool can also be used to help guide a variety of interventions. And these interventions could be whole class or small group, depending on how many students have the same needs. Teachers might also use the monitoring tool when having conversations about setting goals for IEPs for students. There's always going to be students that display a variety of needs. And in some cases, these needs might need further investigation or further digging, we can say, to understand better why the student is struggling. It could be that a student has an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. One might be an issue related to processing. Another might be an unidentified learning disability or memory issues. Might also have students that have attention issues or challenges related to learning in a second language. So using this tool is a starting point to help you see what the needs are, but there is also going to be work to be done to go further, to look at the root issues and to address those as well.
So in this video, we have featured the monitoring tool for reading development. It's part of a curated collection of tools, which we have called the Formative Assessment Toolkit for Literacy. If you liked this video, we invite you to please check out the rest of the tools and videos in the series. If you have further questions or you want access to the full Formative Assessment Toolkit, please reach out to your language arts consultant for support. And we'd like to thank you for joining us today. And we hope you enjoyed your time.